So now that things have wrapped up, do you feel like you showcased to, a bunch of new coaching staff, new development staff, what you're about?
Yeah, I think I came in here and I wanted to show, who I am as a person, who I am as a player. I think I got to, learn a lot of new things this week. Lots of things are going to help, my game in the long run. And, it was just great meeting all the staff and, meeting the management, other prospects. And, really feeling a part of the Flyers organization.
Go ahead, Al.
I'm sure you're wondering, it's your first pro thing, guys who've been through this 2-3 times. Dorward's played in the NHL already. I'm sure you're wondering where you stand against those guys. How do you kind of feel about your game just overall now that you've kind of competed with and against these caliber of players?
Yeah, there's lots of good players here. There have been guys who played in the NHL. There's guys who won national championships in college. Guys who won Memorial Cups. So, I think there's a great prospect pool here, and I'm not really focused on they have all great abilities, but I'm just focused on coming in here and trying to just showcase my best self to the Flyers organization, and everyone in here's got so much skill. Everyone's in here got so much compete, and there's tons of great hockey players in here, but I think I stack up good against everyone, and overall, we got lots of skill in this prospect pool.
Of emphasis that the coaching staff communicated to you of this is what you have to do, this is what you have to improve upon to achieve that goal?
Yeah, I think there's lots of things. When you get to the NHL, things are done faster. The game is faster. So, I think lots of things I learned this week is just different things we worked on in the practice. Protecting pucks. Picking pucks off the wall. I think that's a big thing for me as a winger is making plays on the wall, winning my battles on the wall. So. I need to work on everything as well. These are NHL players we're talking about. And, they're the best at what they do. So, I can improve on lots of things, and that's where, this summer is big for me. I kind of got the first taste of, with this organization here, and then, I could take things what they taught me here and kind of, improve it in the summer and get ready for next season.
You mentioned on draft night that you can play left wing. How much have you played it?
Yeah, I've played every position. Center, left wing, right wing. I think my hockey mind and my IQ makes the ability for me to play different areas on the ice. I played left wing at the World Championships a bit. I played left wing throughout the season when we had too many righties. But for me, I think I just stick to my game plan and I stick to the way I play, and I go out there and just try to give my team the best edge. And I think my hockey IQ really gives me the ability to play both sides of the ice.
This scrimmage is usually a pretty big fan favorite. What did you think of the turnout?
Yeah, no, it was amazing to see all the support from the Flyers fan base. I think we knew there was going to be, some fans that come out and watch, and I think we put on a good show for them too. A little comeback win down 3-0, but it was tons of fun. They showed out great, very passionate fans and really support the team.
How'd you end up with 94? Did you just give that to you?
After I got drafted, they kind of asked what number I'd like to be, so I said that. But I've worn that for probably the past 6 or 7 seasons now. So yeah. Uh-huh.